70 years ago, a young woman was lying ill in this Sussex cottage. She said a mysterious character came to her and she began to write. That character was Mary Poppins. Although the writer lived to be 96, much of her extraordinary life is veiled in mystery. She called herself P.L. Travers, but she changed her name and lied about her past. So what was she trying to hide? The first stage musical of Mary Poppins has brought her into the limelight once more. With exclusive access behind the scenes of the musical and the revelations about her early life here in Australia, this film reveals, for the first time on British television, the full story of the real Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins is essentially a modern myth. It is a new fairy story, a new mythology.
She's pert, she's tart, she's strong. She loves endlessly, but doesn't show it.
You're practically perfect in every way.
I guarantee.
Practically perfect. We hope you'll stay.
No prize on me. Each virtue virtually knows no bound. Each trait is great
And beautifully sound.
You find someone who is quite acerbic, she's quite witty, she's strict but humane.
I sort of produce my shows rather like Mary Poppins. You know, I have a very firm view of how they should be.
Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say it loud enough, you'll always sound precocious. Supercalifragilistic.
Supercalifragilistic.
Supercalifragilistic. Expialidocious.
On one level, she is just a spit-spot, no-nonsense nanny. On another level, she's something quite mysterious.
Close your mouth, please, Michael. We are not a codfish.
I think she's a sort of a white witch.
Well, don't stand there staring. Best foot forward. Spit spot.
She's rather like my mother.
Our son Camillus and other people who knew Pamela Travers well were prepared to talk to us on British television for the first time.
I got to know Pamela Travers in 1968 really very well, when she was in her late 60s.
Oh, chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiree.
She was a very complex character and could be very difficult indeed.
Interviewers and writers had to make up almost what, snippets from what she'd said at various times and slightly autobiographical writings.
There were so many aliases and stories about who she was. Pamela Travers, P.L. Travers, so you don't know that she's a woman. Dr. Pamela Travers because of her honorary doctorate. Mrs. Travers, although she was never married. There's so many different versions of her.
And she used to muddle the whole issue by saying, truth is one thing, fact is another thing. And just because it's fiction doesn't make it a lie.
She always wanted to back into the limelight, but she wanted the limelight to be there.
We want to start from the top. Is that the third one?
Rehearsals for the stage musical of Mary Poppins, directed by Richard Eyre and the choreographer Matthew Bourne, started in July this year. But producer Cameron Mackintosh began negotiations with the author in 1993, 3 years before her death.
When I met Pamela Travers, she was, you know, a frail old lady with a sort of, you could tell, she had steel down her back.
She liked meeting him, and I was with her just before he came, and I talked with her afterwards, and she said, as long as I have some control over this, and that it is not like the film, the Disney film, then she was very supportive.
It's a jolly holiday with Mary. No wonder that it's Mary that we love.
I'm sorry to say there won't be any penguins in this show. Cameron's heart is really with what she wrote, you know, and I think that's always been our guiding line as to whether we put something in or not.
The dialogue in the books is what attracted me. It was sharp, it was witty, and it wasn't like anyone else's writing. And she knew I recognised that.
And something, plain as a park, becomes a wonderland. All you have to do is look anew, and you'll understand why it's a jolly holiday with Mary.
The reason the songs have become iconic is because they were absolutely locked into Pamela's writing.
Oh, it's a jolly holiday with Mary. Mary makes your heart so light.
You haven't changed a bit, have you?
When the day is grey and ordinary, Mary makes the sun shine bright.
Oh, honestly.
They use a great deal of the songs, many of the songs that were in the film, happily, and they've enhanced them. They've done a lot of things with them that are new and exciting. You don't want to just repeat the movie. That's not what they're doing.
It's a jolly holiday with Mary. Mary makes your heart so light. The idea of interfering with this song that I'd known since I was 6 years old was almost unthinkable, so we had to take a very deep breath and several large glasses of wine. But then the idea was that over that simple accompaniment, that lovely sort of almost soft shoeish thing, that we came up with this lyric for the children, who aren't at all impressed with Mary Poppins at this stage. They sing,
boring, just like all the nannies thinking parks are good for us. It's just statues, stocks and grannies. I don't understand all the fuss. Is she doing it to spite us? Could lose us from her life, perhaps or not. I'll tell you what, she seems so different, but I bet she's not. There is nothing to excite us in what is that?
You're quite...
I wanted something a little more riveting than delightful. Penguins is also a story about Nelius, the statue that comes alive, and that became the raison d'etre for going to the park. It wasn't just to sing a very attractive song, it actually had a narrative.
Because then you've got these two images of the boy being set free from his constraints, which is what essentially Mary has come to do to the families. She's going to free the family from the bonds that bind them.